The Papua conflict is an ongoing conflict in Western New Guinea between Indonesia and the Free Papua movement. Subsequent to the withdrawal of the Dutch administration from the Netherlands New Guinea in 1962 and implementation of Indonesian administration in 1963, the Free Papua movement has conducted a low-intensity guerrilla war against Indonesia through the targeting of its military and police, protests and ceremonies by Papuans raising their flag for independence of federation with Papua New Guinea, and accused the Indonesian government of indiscriminate violence and of suppressing their freedom of expression. Indonesia has been accused of conducting a genocidal campaign against the indigenous inhabitants. In a 2007 book, author Dr. R.G. Crocombe wrote that it has been estimated that between 100,000 to 300,000 Papuans had been killed by Indonesian security forces, and many women raped or subjected to sexual violence. Research by the Papuan Women's Working Group together with the Asia Justice Rights found 64 out of a sample of 170 Papuan women have either experienced shootings, torture, sexual violence, arbitrary detention, husbands, family members lost or killed, husbands, family members detained, or property theft, damaging. And the Indonesian governance style has been compared to that of a police state, suppressing freedom of political association and political expression. The Indonesian authorities continue to restrict foreign access to the region due to what they officially claim to be safety and security concerns. Some organizations had called for a peacekeeping mission in the area. In December 1949, at the end of the Indonesian National Revolution, the Netherlands agreed to recognize Indonesian sovereignty over the territories of the former Dutch East Indies, with the exception of Western New Guinea, which the Dutch continued to hold as Netherlands New Guinea. The nationalist Indonesian government argued that it was the successor state to the whole of the Dutch East Indies and wanted to end the Dutch colonial presence in the archipelago. The Netherlands argued that the Papuans were ethnically different and that the Netherlands would continue to administer the territory until it was capable of self-determination. From 1950 onwards, the Dutch and the Western powers agreed that the Papuans should be given an independent state. But due to global considerations, mainly the Kennedy administration's concern to keep Indonesia on their side of the Cold War, the United States pressured the Dutch to sacrifice Papua's independence and transfer the territory to Indonesia. In 1962, the Dutch agreed to relinquish the territory to temporary United Nations administration, signing the New York Agreement, which included a provision that a plebiscite would be held before 1969. The Indonesian military organized this vote, called the Act of Free Choice in 1969, to determine the population's views on the territory's future. The result was in favor of integration into Indonesia, in violation of the agreement between Indonesia and the Netherlands. The vote was a show of hands in the presence of the Indonesian military, and only involved 10-25 hand-picked people who were forced at gunpoint to vote for integration, much less than 1% of those who should have been eligible to vote. The legitimacy of the vote is hence disputed by independence activists who protest the military occupation of Papua by Indonesia. Indonesia is regularly accused of human rights abuses. They include attacks on OPM-sympathetic civilians and jailing people who raise West Papua's National Morning Star flag for treason. Through the Transmigration Program, which since 1969 includes migration to Papua, about half of the 2.4 million inhabitants of Indonesian Papua are born in Java. Intermarriage is increasing and the offspring of trans migrants have come to see themselves as Papuan over their parents' ethnic group. As of 2010, 13,500 Papuan refugees live in exile in the neighboring Papua New Guinea. And occasionally, the fighting spills over the border. As a result, the Papua New Guinea Defense Force has set up patrols along PNG's western border to prevent infiltration by the OPM. Additionally, the PNG government has been expelling resident border crossers and making a pledge of no anti-Indonesian activity a condition for migrants stay in PNG. Since the late 1970s, The OPM have made retaliatory threats against PNG business projects and politicians for the PNGDF's operations against the OPM. The PNGDF has performed joint border patrols with Indonesia since the 1980s. Although the PNGDF's operations against the OPM are parallel. Prior to the arrival of the Dutch, two Indonesian principalities known as the Sultanate of Tidore and the Sultanate of Ternate claimed dominion over Western New Guinea. In 1660, the Dutch recognized the Sultan of Tidore's sovereignty over New Guinea. It thus became notionally Dutch as the Dutch held power over Tidore. Assent.